The first type of article you can choose in this course is called original research article. And if you want to answer a research question you are interested in, or you want to solve a real problem in your work, or you have an original data of some project and you want to analyze the data using the models or methods, formulas introduced in the previous courses, then you are welcome to choose this type of article. The second type of article is called review article. If you want to obtain a comprehensive understanding of a topic that you are not familiar with yet, okay? Or if you want to explore the current state of knowledge, or you want to identify gaps in existing studies for potential future research, or you just simply want to learn the main methodologies and the research techniques related to a specific topic you're interested in, then you are welcome to choose the review article type. Okay, so basically, it's very different. The original research topic is for you to answer a specific research question. You need to analyze data, new data, and find new results, have new conclusions, okay? But if you are not ready to do something like that, you just want to understand a topic in a depth, or you want to know some, new topics, like hot topic like machine learning in manufacturing, or robotics in supply chain, and so on. So if you are interested in some new topic, and you think they are going to be useful in your future work, then you're welcome to do the review articles. Okay, so you want to give it a consideration here to estimate your knowledge, your needs, your interest, and then decide which type of article you want to do. Okay, and then in these slides, we're going to discuss each type of article in detail so that you can better understand what you are going to do if you choose a specific type of article and if you can do it. Okay, so first, what is an original research article? So we just simply call it research article in this course, okay? So the research articles are the most common type of journal articles. Okay, so we mentioned that there are many academic journals. They have articles, and most of the articles are this type, original research articles. And the other small amount will be review articles, and then some special issues or book review and so on. So original research articles is the major type. And they are detailed studies reporting new work. Okay, so the keywords is you are going to report something new, not studied or not reported by the others before, and are classified as primary literature. So all the articles which are published, we call them literature. Okay, and those literatures, if they are original research articles, then we call them primary literature. And then the others, we call them secondary literature. And also the articles you see in the newspaper or on a website or on a blog, those are not research articles, but they are kind of literature, and we usually call them gray literature, because they're not based on research or studies. They're just based on their personal opinions or attitudes, right? So this is the different thing. And here you want to know, like, original research article is valued as the primary literature. And also you need to report new data, new work, new opinion, new findings, okay? And components of a research article. Here are some, basic components included in a research article. And usually we will divide a research article into these separate sections. So the first section is title page. On the title page, you're going to have the article title and your name, okay, the author's information. And then you're gonna have an abstract, which is usually less than 250 words, and some keywords following, usually less than or equal to 6 words. So this abstract will summarize what you have done, what's your research question, and what's your findings, and then followed by a set of keywords. The keywords are used for the others to search your article in the future. Okay. And then the next section is introduction. So introduction is you want to tell people, the reader, what is known and what is unknown about a topic like robotics in supply chain. So what is already known, what is unknown, and then what your research questions are. Okay. And this section usually is from 750 to 1,000 words length. And then after that, you're gonna have a literature review. And a literature review is usually focused on the keywords in your article. Like if you are going to discuss the robotics in supply chain, and then you might have one paragraph talking about robotics technology, and then another paragraph talking about the robotics application in supply chain, and then the third paragraph would be the supply chain difficulties and challenges, and where the robotics have potential to solve all of them. So the literature review part will prove the audience that you are familiar with this topic, and some basic concepts and methodologies, and from this literature review like what method you are going to use. Okay, so the next section is methods, and most time methods is based on your understanding of the literatures of the topic. Like there are some different formulas and models, and then which one is the most advanced, so which one is most appropriate to your problem, so you're going to choose that one. And here the methods will tell people the steps you're going to follow to apply those methods. So first, how do you collect the data? Second, what formulas you're going to use? Third, what parameters are there, and what are the values? How do you get the values? And then how do you calculate which software do you use? Which Excel spreadsheet is enough, or you want to use some online calculator or programming, whatever. So the methods will have a clear overview of what you did to answer your research questions. It's a step-by-step guide so that the readers can repeat your work in a later with another set of data. And then the following section is results. The results will summarize what the data show, like what's your final results are, and how does it look like maybe in a table or on a chart, and what are the trendings, and what you can see in the table or chart to just describe your data results. Okay. And then followed by discussion section. The discussion section is very important. So it is to summarize your findings first and explain what the data mean. Like if you show, okay, you have some peaks in the results, you have some bottom points, and you have some trends, and you need to explain like why do you have the peaks at that point, and why do you have the bottoms, and what it means in the real situation. Is there any implications you can get, any interpretations you can make? So the discussion will, give the readers the explanation of your results. And then the next section is the conclusion, which will repeat your research questions, summarize what you did, highlight your findings. So it's just a one place where the readers can just go. Maybe they don't have to read all the other sections, but they can go to the conclusion and then read it and then get to the main idea of your article. Okay, that's the function of the conclusion. And then the last section would be limitation. So every research and study has limitations, okay? So this section, you need to summarize what can be improved in your study. Maybe your data are not enough. Maybe your sample is very small. Maybe the equations you used is, subject to very strict conditions and so on. So those are the places you can improve in the future. You need to point it out. And then you need to explain how those, disadvantages related to bias in your findings. So you need to, point out if your value would be, overestimate or underestimate or whatever. So any possible bias in your or errors in your results and findings, you need to point it out here objectively. Okay, and the limitation is very important. It will point out the future research direction for the other researchers. And also it will show people that you are looking at your results objectively, because nothing is perfect, okay? So these are the main components of a research article. And here I have some good examples of research articles that you can just click the link, the http://doi.org link. Just simply click that and it will open a website of this article. You can read through the abstract to understand what they're doing. But it's just to give you some, examples of like what kind of topics you can discuss and what's the depth and what are people interested in right now about industrial engineering, okay? So for example, the first article is talking about ensuring supply chain resilience. So it's focused on the supply chain resilience. And then it wants to show you development and implementation of an assessment tool. So you can clearly see that this article is going to develop an assessment tool, and they proposed it to support the supply chain resilience. Okay, so that's the one topic, existing article topic. Okay, and the second article is an empirical examination of supply chain performance along several dimensions of risk. So basically it's to examine supply chain performance, but from what perspective? From the risk perspective. So that's the second one. And then the third article is what is the right delivery option for you, customer? So that's the research question. And then they use consumer preferences for delivery attributes in online retailing. So I would imagine that they're going to use a survey to ask people like, how do you choose delivery method or delivery attributes? And then basically what they are looking at is the online shoppers, so that they can use the survey data to answer the question like, what is the right delivery option for you? So that's the topic. And so on. So you can just read through the titles to understand what they are looking at, what's the research question. Okay, and before we jump into the review article, let me just show you one of our previous class, article, like one of the students' article, and to show you like what's the final product to look like, to give you a sense. Okay, let me see. It's gonna be which one? This one. Okay, so this is the title page, and the first line is exploring perceived usefulness of using autonomous trucks in logistics. So it's the topic, it's the title, and we want to understand the how do logistics people think about autonomous trucks? Does it help logistics? That's the research question. Okay, and also the title, and then the second and the third lines, they are just required component in the title page, and you're gonna see the requirement in a later assignment. Don't worry about that. And then you're gonna have your name, by which author, and then the date of the report of the article. That's the first page. And then you have abstract section. Okay, so the abstract is pretty short. Okay, and it summarizes all the what you did and what you find. And then you have some keywords, right? So keywords are just the words that used to search your paper, like you are talking about autonomous trucks, you're talking about logistics, you're talking about perceived usefulness, and so on. And then you're going to have a table of contents in the final article. And then you can clearly see that you have different sections: introduction, literature review, research methodology, results and discussions, conclusion and recommendations, and the limitations. Okay, and then you have a reference list. That's the other previous work or articles you have cited in your article. So in the introduction, you need to tell people like why, what's known and unknown about the topic, and why it's important, and what your research questions are. See here, we have RQ1, what is the perceived usefulness of using AT's autonomous trucks in logistics, and RQ2, are there differences in the perceived usefulness reported by different participants groups? So those are the two research questions for this article. You need to point it out clearly in your introduction, okay? So people know your motivation. And then literature review, you are going to discuss the key knowledge or concepts or methods you're going to use. Like the first one is logistics, right? We're talking about the usefulness in logistics, so we need to talk about logistics and how it's related to the autonomous trucks. And then the second section of literature review is we want to review some papers about autonomous trucks to understand what are autonomous trucks, what are different levels, and what are the studies about autonomous trucks. And the third subsection would be the theories for studying users' acceptance, because we're talking about perceived usefulness, right? So we want to know what are the methods used to understand, to measure perceived usefulness. Are there any models or formulas you can use? So those are the contents of that. And then another section would be to point out the significance of your work, why your work is important, okay? And then the third section is research methodology. That's to introduce like what you have done, how do you collect data, and how do you, measure the data, how do you analyze the data, and so on. Okay, so and let's see, and then the fourth section would be the results. Okay, so in the results part, okay, usually we will show some tables and the charts of your final, final data. Like if you calculate something, what's the results, okay? Show them in a table or charts and highlight the important things so that you can discuss them in a later discussion section, okay? And let's move on to the next section. So the fifth section is the conclusion and recommendation. So you want to summarize what you have done, what you have found. And the recommendations is like the interpretations of your findings. Is there any, implications for policy making or management and so on? And then you want to discuss the limitations of your study and how do you improve that in the future, okay? And then these are the references that you have cited in the article. And we're going to talk about, all the technical things of how do you cite papers, articles, and how do you list them here, in what format. That will be discussed in the later course, okay? All right, now let's go back to the slides. So the next type of article is review article. A review article can also be called a literature review or a review of literature. So if you see in the title a literature review, which means that's a review article. Okay, a review article is a survey of previously published research on a topic. So you are not to produce new data or new findings. What you do is to read or study previously published research or articles on a topic. And it should give an overview and an evaluation of current thinking on the topic. So after you studied those previous articles, you need to give it an evaluation, like what people have done about this topic, and what's the history of this topic, and what's the key or hot concepts right now, what's the trend, and what are the future directions of this topic. Okay, and it can identify potential research areas to explore next. Okay, and it will not present new experimental results. So a review article is based on a lot of readings and studying of others' research, and then you want to summarize in your own way, in your own opinion. Okay, the innovative or original part of it is you to summarize those maybe 60 papers or 100 articles. It is you to summarize them. So you want to divide them into maybe different directions, different trends. So this part is your innovation or original contribution. Okay. And also the components of a review article is similar to the previous article type, but a little bit different. So first you have title and author, and then you have abstract and keywords, and then you have introduction. Those are the same. And in the introduction part, a little bit different is you want to tell people why do you think an explanation or research on this topic is important. Okay, there are so many different topics in supply chain or in industrial engineering, but why do you think this specific topic, like robotics, why it is important for you to read all the previous articles and do a review on it? And then discussion section. Discussion section can be very long or divided into subsections. This is the part that you need to have critical thinkings. You need to, not just describe or summarize the topics. You need to criticize it. You need to summarize the history of the topic, the current hot directions, the research gaps in the future needs. So you need to have your own opinions after you read all of these previous studies. Okay, and this discussion section could be the major part of this article. It is going to be long, so usually you will have subsections under it, and you need to use have critics in this part. And then it's the conclusion section. This section is to make suggestions for future research on the topic, to communicate with the reader that what you understood and what unknowns still remains in this topic. Okay, and then the limitation part section, you want to still describe what can be improved in your review study. Have you reviewed all of them? Do you have limited sources? Maybe you want to point it out, like if you have small sample size of the previous studies, and what possible bias are there in your discussions. And here I have several examples of very good review articles. So you can, click on the link and then find the abstract of them, and maybe download one or two of them to just give it a read and have a sense of like what review articles look like. Okay, And then let me show you one of our previous students' review article. Okay, not this one. This one. Okay, so again, the first page is the title page. So it is the Six Sigma SPC and the critical success factors that influence successful Six Sigma implementation, a literature review. So if it's a review article, you always want to have this literature review phrase in your title. And then similar to the other ones, you have these several lines required, and then the author's name, and then the time. Okay. And the table of contents. So it has introduction, and it has literature review method. That will tell people how do you find out those previous articles. And then article selection. How do you select among these maybe 100 articles, which ones are going to be used in your study? Okay, you need to introduce the method you use to select these articles. And then the third is the literature review. You review them, or we can say this is actually the discussion section. And you see under this section, it has several subsections. Those are just the subtopics the authors want to criticize or summarize, okay? And then it has the future areas of study to point out what are the future directions. And then the final section is conclusions, right? And then the reference list. Okay, so I won't go through all of this content, but I will post this on the Canvas, and you're welcome to just read through and then check what's going on under each section. Okay. All right, so let's go back to the slide. All right, so this is a final, comparison between the research article and the review article. And then maybe it's a guide for you to choose which article you want to write. So we have differences, right? The differences in viewpoint, content, and your major tasks. And then for research article, your viewpoint is you want to present the viewpoint of the author. So you want to present your, new findings. And the review article is for you to critiques the viewpoint of other authors on a particular topic. Okay? And the content-wise, a research article is a new content. You have new data, new method, new analyze, new results, new conclusion. Everything is something that not present before. And a review article is assessing already published content. Okay, so it's a review, and you have to criticize it, and analyze the previous studies, and summarize what you have found. Okay, and your major tasks for research article, you are going to identify new research questions to answer. Read a small amount of articles to decide the method, and then collect new data and analyze them, and interpret your results and approach new conclusions. So that's your major tasks if you're going to write a research article. But for review article, you're going to read a large amount of articles that published already, and you want to understand the topic first by yourself. And then critical discussion of the history, hot directions, and research gaps of the, topic. And then you want to have great ability to summarize and criticize. So based on your, ability and your situation, you can decide which type of article you are going to write. Okay, next, let's talk about how do you choose a topic. Okay, so based on the other students' experience, they feel like it's better to choose a topic that they are personally interested in. And then because you're going to read a lot of articles about that topic, so it's better the one you are, excited about, okay? And then it should be researchable. You should find enough literature, enough articles about it. You should have a clear research plan, and you should read potential methodologies published already about that topic. So basically, if something is not studied at all, then that might be not a good topic for you, okay? And project findings may be helpful for your current job or your future career, okay? So if some topics is helpful for your job, then that might be a good one, because you have a better motivation to work on it. And also, if you think reading this topic articles, it can collect knowledge that is needed for your current job or future career, that would be good. And or you think by practicing the methodology, using some models or formulas or softwares, you can improve the skill sets you need in your job, that would be good too. And then also the study is needed. You don't want to focus on some topics that are, that are obsolete, okay? So think about this and then try to narrow down to some specific topics and then decide which one to go with. And here is just a list, not an exhausting list, but some typical areas related to industrial engineering that you can think of, like quality control, cost control, production and inventory control, industrial automation, plant layout and material handling, motion and time study, lean production systems, engineering project management, global supply chain management, industrial simulation modeling, logistics transportation system, logistics distribution system, and so on. So there are many under the IE umbrella. So you're welcome to just choose maybe one of them or any other topics you think are related. Okay. All right. So I hope that after this presentation, you can have a better understanding, like which article type you're going to choose and what topic you're going to focus on. And we're going to have an assignment related to this, so you can tell me your article type and your topic. Okay? All right, so I'll see you in the next lecture.